The Hi Tech Nomad here, and today we're going to take a look at using the Note 9 on the Gear VR. Now, if you haven't used these before, what you do is you just take this and you just put this right in. It doesn't fit. Oh, what the? Hello again, I'm Orman Beckles, aka the Hi Tech Nomad, and today we're going to look at using the Gear VR with the Samsung Galaxy Note 9. Now, I was very excited to use my Note 9 with my Gear VR because it's going to solve a bunch of problems. Now, I've been using a Gear VR since they first came out with the Note 4 back in 2015, and there are some problems that just haven't been solved up until now. The first problem has to do with the size of the Gear VR programs. A lot of them are 2 and 3 and 4 gigs, and so 2 and 3 and 4 gigs, 10 programs, that's 40 gigs. I only had 50 gigs free on my phone to begin with. So I constantly had to load programs on and take them off so as to not fill up my phone. However, I found that I was always making the wrong choice, and so when I wanted to show somebody something, I had to say, okay, just wait like 5 minutes while I reload this software back. Oh, you're gone. Well, I need that space. Let me take it back off. So the first problem is solved by the Note 9 because of the fact that in this particular case, my case, I have 512 gigabytes. So donating 40 gigs to the Gear VR is not a problem. The second program that comes up with using the Gear VR with a lot of the older phones is the lag and the freezing. And that's caused by the fact that it's really intensive. Remember, it has to keep switching screens to change to whatever direction you happen to be looking in. And even with clearing all of the programs in the background, I found that I was getting a lot of freezing. So with 8 gigs of RAM, that issue goes away. And then last but certainly not least is that normally when I was using the Gear VR, my phone got incredibly hot. And now with the new water-cooled system inside of the Note 9, I don't have that problem either. I've actually watched a 2-hour movie in here and the phone got a little warm, but that was about it. So we're now 3 for 3 with the Note 9. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a winner. So that comes down to how do we use a Gear VR with the Note 9? I make it sound like it's a mystery. Well, yeah, it kind of is. The first thing is that there are many Gear VRs on the market. If you take the cover off and look on the inside, you'll actually see a model number. The current model number is 325, and it is the only one that is wide enough to take a Note 9. So you got to make sure that you have a 325. So if you have a 324, 3, 2, or 1, isn't going to work. It's not wide enough. These little spacers that hold the phone in place aren't wide enough to take it. The next issue you're going to run into is the USB connector isn't right on this unit, on the 325. So no matter which 325 you have, you're going to have to do the following. This little USB connector actually comes off. There's a little button here, and when you do that, you can actually take off the USB connector. You actually have to get the one specifically for the Note 9, and the only place to get that is from Samsung. Now, I'm not sure why they don't just put up a web page, but they don't. So that means the only way to get it is you either have to call Samsung, or if you're lucky, you can get them to do it through a chat window. Once you get them online through, let's say, the chat window or the phone, they're going to ask you for the serial number. So you might as well take a picture of this now and blow it up because, boy, it's tiny and tough to read. So they're going to want the serial number from inside of your 325, and they're going to want the IMEI number of your phone. Now, I can only imagine that they're doing that so that they don't send out too many of these pieces. However, the time it takes that they're using to vet people to make sure that they really should be sending them this out, and the cost and everything like that, I think they would have been cheaper to just put up a web page and send it. So a week after you talk to Samsung, you'll have your connector, you have your 325, you have your Note 9, you're ready to go ahead and use it. Now, if you have friends and family around, I wish I had friends and family around. In any event, if you want people to be able to see what you see, we want to turn on its ability to mirror to a Google Cast. Now, I actually couldn't figure this out for quite some time. I had to actually go through and do a lot of research, but I'm going to do all the heavy lifting for you. What you're going to need to do is go into the Oculus program that's on your phone prior to putting it in your headset. You need to go to the library and you need to look for the Google Cast icon. If you're like me, you won't see the Google Cast icon, and you're not going to see it until your Google Cast is on and you're on the same network and you're ready to connect to it. So I suggest you actually use your phone and use Google Home and connect to the unit you want to connect to before you open the Oculus program. So again, if you open the Oculus program and you don't see the Google Cast icon, that's because it can't figure out that it's there. And I also have some other problems with this Google Cast icon. I have some other non-Google Cast-like items, and they don't show up in this list. So I'm a little concerned about that. But in any event, once I do that and I click on the TV of my choice, we're ready to go ahead and put this in and put this on. And now you should be able to see what I see.
Once you're inside, not a whole bunch has changed from the previous versions of Gear VR, meaning they haven't really changed the software that much. But if you have used Gear VR before, you're going to be impressed with just how much smoother things are now. And if you haven't used Gear VR before, you're in for a real treat. Old programs that you may have used before, like Viral, are really, really fun to play. And some of the new games, like Attack of the Bugs, it's so much nicer and easier to use a Gear VR with a Note 9.
So, are you using your Gear VR more now that you have your Note 9? Are you planning on getting a Gear VR now that you have your Note 9? Leave the message in the comments. As always, I really appreciate when you hit the like and the subscribe button. Until the next time, this is the Hi Tech Nomad, signing out.